do Mr. and Mrs. Travers after the minutes?
Okay. Meeting call to order, Tuesday, March 4th, 2015, Sewer Commission, 7 p.m. In attendance, Commissioner Higgins, Johnson, Demko, DPW Commissioner Randy Sylvester, and Executive Liz Welch, and Steve Dempsey, Supervisor. Also, we have guests from the Light Department. Is that anybody?
And Mr. and Mrs. Travers.
Mr. and Mrs. Travers, okay.
Okay.
And Abby from Conservation.
And Abby from
Abby,
Conservation.
Okay.
Okay.
First item on the agenda is minutes of February 11, 2015.
I've gone through them myself. Yeah,
I've gone through them as
You
well.
want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes for those two meetings. Okay, the meeting on February 11th
February 25th.
and 25th.
Second that motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Walton Cove Stormwater Mitigation Project. Abby?
Can we, Abby, before we get started, could we take care of Mr. and Mrs. Travers first?
Okay.
They've been bouncing around like a yo-yo here for the past... You want to come up? So that we can
Jerry, you
explain...
want-
Jerry, you want...
Gentlemen, we went before the selectmen over an issue on North Street, an odor issue, and this goes back a couple of years now. And we first appeared before the Sewer Commission, and it was decided to repair the problem that we have on North Street with this odor issue. And we brought it to the selectmen because there was a moratorium on the road. We couldn't dig it up. So the board agreed to have the road dug up to correct the problem. Hopefully, I don't have it with me tonight. I do have the report. The North Street sags, is about 5 or 6 of them, or whatever. And it's been nothing but problems for us at 81 North Street and some of the other units we have. As we progressed with the selectmen, they decided not to dig up the road because of the moratorium. And the Sewer Commission, not this group, decided also to back off and say, let's wait. And we've gone through this Band-Aid approach by blowing the lines every twice a year, and that's when our toilets bubble up, the odor's in the house. We've had the health department come over, we've had the sewer department come over, and there is a letter on record, I hope, where the health department has ordered the Sewer Commission to fix the problem. And that has been put under the table. I don't know why. So again, we just got back the last hour or so from Florida, and we've just heard there's a meeting tonight with the Sewer Commission, and we're here. So we'd just like to know what's going on. There was supposed to be a meeting with the Board of Health, the Sewer Commission, the Highway Department, the town, everybody was supposed to be having a meeting together, and all of a sudden it hasn't materialized yet. We thought this was the night because we checked the website, we found out there's a Sewer Commission meeting. So I'd like some input from the board tonight on what's going on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Steve, you want to give Jerry a little hint as to what we're going to do over there about that running trap in the sidewalk? Can we explain that to him? And
We're going to put a clean out in the sidewalk. And the clean out will allow us to physically plug the line between you and the street. We can physically plug it. We are toying with the idea of a running trap as well. I'm not sure on that. I don't know whether engineers have weighed in on that yet in the sidewalk. But either way, we're going to create a barrier between you and the street when we clean it, when we clean the main.
Excuse me, is that running trap the same as when we put on the garage over on Lincoln Street?
We didn't do that, Ed. We ended up putting on a vent cap that worked very well.
You think that'll work in this particular case?
We haven't had 100% success, to say the least.
May I?
certainly.
Diane Travers, 81 North Street. Does this affect the lateral line up our driveway?
For the time that we're
For
cleaning.
digging it up? For doing any
No.
kind of...
Only in the
Maintenance work.
sidewalk.
Okay. I have a very important question I would like to try to get an answer to. Is there some reason that the sags cannot be fixed underneath the sewer system? Because when we had the camera trucks, this goes back years ago, when we had the camera trucks, there's a whole engineer's report. Sampson and Weston, is it?
Yeah, Weston.
Weston, sorry. That is, it's deplorable under there after the train went through. So who signed off for this project? There's sags everywhere.
I'll give you a little background on that. Back in 2005, they wrote the Cashman and the former commissioner and asked that we be reimbursed for it. And
Right.
they said that we'll give you $150,000 if you fix the problem or clean it periodically. Well,
It wasn't. So who
never-
signed off on the project? We've got the big sag right in front of our house.
Yeah, that was the former chairman.
The engineer or whoever? Who?
There was a whole bunch of people working on that project at the time. It was basically for the T, and those funds were mitigation funds to do whatever the town, I guess, wanted to do with that area. So
It was our understanding that the money was there to have the sags fixed.
Supposed to be there because...
You were on the
Yes,
original
Yeah,
committee.
Commissioner Salernos asked the town administrator, he said there's $150,000 still there. They were supposed to dig up the street, but there's a
Right.
moratorium on it. Because I was in agreement that we should fix the problem. I made that
Exactly,
motion,
thank you.
but it never materialized. I don't
No.
know why.
It didn't materialize because you and, I forget the gentleman that passed away that was on the board.
Ed Monahan.
Mr. Monahan and Mr. Salerno, after the engineers,
chairman.
after the outside engineer report,
Yeah.
Weston and Simpson, did I get it right?
yeah.
With that huge report of such a deplorable situation on North Street, you guys took it to the selectmen because, like Jerry said, because of the moratorium.
Right.
And that's how it got to the selectmen. And now the selectmen, of course, are bringing it back to you.
Well, the
to them.
former chairman speaks
Because-
for the commission, and he's the one that didn't do anything on the problem. I was for the fixing.
You all voted to have it fixed.
Yeah.
But
And the
that's-
Board of Health.
That's something we can look into. If there's $150,000 there, that we can look at too.
There is not 150,000. It's been looked into. And
I have
Well,
minutes
Mr.
of the
Alexiadis
meeting
had
that Ted
some-
Alexiadis said to the former chairman that $150,000 is available.
Yes, and he told us that at a meeting, or it was signed off as, sorry.
Let Randy speak.
No, I'm the
Okay.
chairman, and
Okay.
it's there.
Okay.
But the idea was a moratorium on the street, and they couldn't resolve it and dig up the street.
To open it up. So
I think, again, this is just a Band-Aid approach. I know they're trying to address the problem that we do have. We'll try this, we'll try that. A cut cap was left off, so, well, that's the problem. It's not the problem. It's the sag between our house all the way to the...
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Everyone's had problems, but not quite like us, I guess, so here we are.
may I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Weston and Sampson has also wrote a report that would, saying that if we put in a running trap with a clean out, that it would keep odors from getting back into your house. They've written that report. They wrote it for the state in order, because there was an issue putting in the Ship and Cottage project. So Weston and Sampson has looked into it and has written that. I don't have the documents tonight because I didn't know you were going to come tonight, but I would have brought those documents. So I have talked to the engineers. They're on board with what we plan to do, and I believe that we would like to take the less costly approach right now and not dig up all of North Street, putting everyone, especially the shop owners and the residents, at an inconvenience.
I understand that, Randy, but since 2013, with this approach of cleaning the lines and blowing the lights, it's only twice a year, but the smell is absolutely disgusting in
And
our
we
house.
understand
And
that.
I don't, right now, to save the businesses is not my priority. It's to save my health, my husband's health.
And I
What can I
understand it,
say?
but even if we, and I've talked to the engineers about this too, even if we correct that line, there's not a 100% guarantee that it's not going to happen again.
Because the road has to be dug up.
No, I mean, even if we did the line, gases have to escape somewhere. And especially when we clean the line, which we have to do maintenance-wise.
Not anymore, not if it's going to come into our house.
We do, because there are other issues such as grease. And that's one of the reasons that form odors, and that's what's coming back. Now, from what I'm hearing is that you have only experienced these odors during a clean-out since we've made other mitigation. Is that true?
Since the clean-out started, I believe, in January of 2013.
Right, and that's the only time
Twice a year.
Twice a year. Well, what we're proposing, as Steve talked about, is the clean-out. So there's a physical barrier, and we won't make a mistake on this, okay? There's going to be a water trap, or a running trap, which is a water barrier, and then we're going to have a clean-out, and we're going to put a balloon in there, basically, to make a physical barrier between the clean-out, which is happening on the sewer line, and your house. Right now, we opened up a clean-out in order to vent the pipes, okay? We made a mistake. One of our workers covered it up by mistake, and the gases were forced into your house. And I fully apologize for that. What we're proposing is to do this in the sidewalk when we wouldn't inconvenience you. The biggest inconvenience would be is that we're going to tell you that we're going to be doing it. But we will block it off physically in the street, on the sidewalk, so those odors will not be able to get to your house, forced into your house, because that's how they're getting there. They were forced by the cleaning.
So this will be done before the next cleaning in July?
Absolutely. We plan to get in there as soon as the weather breaks and we can get in there.
One more thing that bothers me that's on my mind, I forgot to ask it the last time, is since the sewer lines have gone in on Cottage and Ship and all of that, could I ask why the moratorium was broken at the end of North Street?
It wasn't.
And
There's a moratorium on the street.
there's a moratorium at the end of
by
Cottage Street on North
Right,
Street.
right.
Why was that moratorium broken again?
We
Like-
had, well,
Screw it up.
we
And-
had to,
I mean,
we had to connect into that line, and there was misinformation out there thinking that there was a connection further up on Cottage Street. On further investigation, there was not. In order to connect in, they had to go into a manhole. So the project's going to pay for 100% pavement and everything they did. We're going to repave it this paving season in the
I
spring.
don't care about the repavement,
And I
but when I
understand.
saw that asphalt broken up in the middle of a moratorium, and we have been fighting since we moved in 2005 to get rid of this odor on the outside. First it was the outside, you couldn't even sit on our decks. And I see this road broken up, and here we have been fighting for years to get this sewer system fixed. I don't know.
May I interject? We're going to look
I'm
at this
at
in a different perspective. I'm going to find out if that 150,000 is available, and we're going to see if we can fix that line permanently instead of Band-Aid approach. That's what I'm going to do myself as chairman.
Look into it.
Well, we were told the 150,000 was there, and then when we discussed it at a selectman meeting, Mr. Alexiadis had a sort of a different story, but so I have nothing to prove with the
No,
150.
there's a check,
But-
the receipt of the check.
Yeah,
being
and somebody
received.
must sign off on projects, don't they? Knowing that this is
That was
like it
part of
is?
the MBTA project, and there were
And the
numerous...
town engineer,
There
or
were
whoever
numerous
that is.
contractors in there doing pipelines for gas, for water, for sewer, and everything else. And it's quite a unique way that they did it, and it's not something that I would approve of, but that's what they did. They opened up the whole street, and they put all the utilities in at one time, And there's a few slopey spots there where it was either undercompacted, okay, and it goes like this. Maybe the
Yeah.
soil's underneath, those little
There's a lot
spoils
of
and stuff.
lines
They might
there.
have gotten wet, okay, and the trench it's settled at these locations. Because a lot of times what they do is they
Mess.
puddle over the pipelines
Mm-hmm.
to increase that, okay? It's kind of like a shear that goes down, okay? But we
I
know,
don't know.
and we're looking at it, and, but for
I'm just
now,
at my, where it
there are
always
actually
end.
two options at your door, okay? One of which is the one that they just talked about. The second one would be, we'll have to get an emergency permit to excavate on North Street in front of your house. We're going to put probably 8 or 10 feet of pipe in there, make sure that we have it level in there, the level spots, okay, and reconnect your
I
service.
wish that could be done first. I think it will
Well,
probably correct the problem.
Make the
It's-
motion, we
But
look at that second alternative of
You
finding
can't-
out if there's 150,000.
Can't vote on it, Ed.
Yeah, we can't, no, we're not going to,
Can't vote on it because it was not.
Can't make a vote.
I mean,
no.
yeah, whatever, I don't know the but, I mean, that would be
Dig
my
up the
opinion.
street if we have to go to the selectmen from,
What-
do it.
May I make a suggestion? Could we put the fix in that the engineer said?
That-
Oh,
I'm
because-
for
no,
that,
because
Randy.
this engineering company has twice, they fouled up when they didn't find out that it was a manhole, it was another type of a manhole there, and that's why they had to dig up the street. So I want to look into this myself, and I'm going to have looked in to see whether there is 150,000, and we'll do the second alternative.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
That's kind of the end of it tonight. I think we've discussed exactly what's,
Okay.
I just hope it ends soon somehow, because, anyway,
We'll
Thank you.
look into it, and we'll get back to you on it.
okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Ed, you're going to tell.
At Ship Street. I just came in the middle of that, but, I know that the people down there have been going through a lot because for depending on the type of day and depending on the conditions outside, you can kind of smell that smell up Ship Street. And if I'm smelling it that far up, you only can imagine what they're dealing with, okay? The thing that bothers me, and has bothered me from the beginning, is I believe it was in 2010, there was a vote of this commission, and Mr. Demko was on the commission at the time, where the problem was recognized and there was a vote to fix the issue, correct the issue before the road was repaved. For whatever reason, that wasn't done, okay? And that, that essentially is the source of this problem. Now, one of the other things that I noticed, aside from, and I was saying all along that there was no way you're going to be able to connect in to do the Ship Street, Cottage Street sewer line without hooking into the line in North Street, which they did on the side of Ship Street, because Ship Street goes, what looks like Ship Street is actually part of North Street. And so there was a connection in there. And then it was obvious that where the manhole was in North Street, and there was no authorization when they did work in North Street to put a line up Cottage Street. So common sense, I knew back when this project was being debated that they were going to have to open up North Street to connect the sewer in, both on the Ship Street side and the North Street side. And there was a moratorium. But, and I pointed it out to the selectmen, but they just rubber stamped it and said, okay, go ahead and do that. One of the things I did notice in front of Stars was before the work was done to connect into the manhole on the Cottage Street side, was it appears that, I believe it's around the gas main, it looked like that had been dug out. Okay, after the road had been repaved. So clearly there was at least one instance where that road was opened up. Now, again, if it was as a result of some gas leak or whatever, I understand that. But I've spoken to these people, and the EPA classifies sewer odor as toxic waste or whatever, hazardous odors, whatever. They should be given the same consideration as a natural gas leak. I mean, so I don't know what's going on, but I have my suspicions. It's about someone not wanting to be accountable for what happened down there, how the problem came to be, and that's a shame because these people are suffering the consequences for that. And this town should never put someone's individual accountability above what's right for the people in the town. And I think that's what's been going on here. It needs to stop.
Okay, thank you. You have any comments, Kenny?
One question on with the proposed running trap and the clean out that would put in. Is there any possibility that, because obviously when you're cleaning, it's looking for the least path of resistance to escape. So would that problem get pushed down any further out another lateral, or did
Well, we open the manhole outside.
so that fence it leaves it there?
Right.
And so that's not enough to, but somehow that manhole, and it's going up a much smaller
It's
diameter
going up the lateral
lateral.
because of the running trap.
Okay.
So it was going up their lateral, so there's a clean out further up in their driveway that we opened up.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the clean out was opened, but our worker put the cover back on the hole. So that's why the most recent problem occurred.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was once. This is 2013. I should never assume anything, but there's no proof that that second cover was not off, and we got the same odor. Twice in 2013 and in 14, and this one time that supposedly this worker said that he left the cover on. Now everybody thinks that since this has been going on, the cover's been left on. There's no proof of
No.
that. Absolutely
I
no
don't believe we
proof.
were taking the cover off in
We
2013.
were right there.
Yeah,
We watched the whole line with the television.
If I make a motion.
I don't want to get into a debate, but,
I know.
no.
Make a motion.
We've cleaned it
50,000
since that time, and we totally understood your
Right
problem.
way,
And
permanently.
we opened the clean out from that point on, and I believe we've cleaned the line 3 times since, other than this last time when you experienced the problem again.
Solano asked him.
So
I read the minutes of the meeting.
once that occurred again, we had done it previously without you having any problems.
No.
That's why I'm going to make a motion.
Okay.
I texted you every time you had the problem.
Yes, you have.
So,
Have
the-
I?
Second the motion?
Yes, you have.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
so have we cleaned the line?
2013,
without a text.
twice a year we have had the problem.
I think the last, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the last time we cleaned 6 months ago,
That would be, January.
July,
July.
was there a problem then? Because I believe that was the first time we opened the cover. I think was in 2014 of July. I'm just throwing it out there.
Was that when you came with the TV?
No, that was the last time. That was in December.
Every single time we've had it. There was one
The Board of Health come over.
That was in December, I believe. Yeah.
December.
No, we had him twice.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
No, he come over. He smelled it.
Okay. Well, I was at
Came
your,
over once.
I was at your house last time, and I was in the house.
And then Susan just came over the last time.
I'm going to make a motion that we look into whether the 150,000 is available so that we can correct the problem properly. And would you second that motion, Randy?
You can't vote.
No, there's no vote. We have to talk to Ted. How about this? Will you give us a shot at going into the sidewalk to see if we can cure the problem?
I don't want to do that. I want to correct the problem right.
Are you asking us?
I'm asking you, yes. Hold on, Eddie.
Well, I would prefer to have the SAG fixed. I'm
Well-
not going to say that,
But if we have to look into some other internal things, quite frankly, okay? Finances, which is one of the issues, okay? But would you agree to let us at least take a shot at it, what we want to do?
Mr. Higgins, again, I think, Mr. Demko mentioned, Band-Aid. We're trying to take the least inexpensive way to try to correct this main problem. That's the problem, not this lateral line. All right, say if you put this magic thing on the sidewalk, now we get it back in the air again. I mean, gag-a-mag, that's what it was up there. You know, people were trying to do some repair work, then, boy, this place stinks, it's a nice thing, hopefully it will work. but I don't think it will.
The only thing I want to say, just so you're aware of this, is that when the Ship Street, Cottage Street permitting was being done at the DEP, I raised this issue to the DEP, and I said, this problem should not, the permit should not be issued unless the problem on North Street is corrected first. And what was represented, according to the DEP, what was represented to them was this issue was going to be taken care of. It was going to be monitored, et cetera, okay? It's right, I believe it's right in the conditions of the permit that was issued. So, you know, this is a bigger problem, because if this town has any plans to put any additional sewer lines in, it's going to require a permit from the DEP. I think you're going to have a problem getting authorization from the DEP for a permit, because you're not living up to, or it doesn't seem like things are being lived up to on the conditions of the Ship Street, Cottage Street permit. So you just, I think you got to bear in mind, this is something you can't just keep kicking the can down the road.
One of the conditions of the permit was putting this running trap in for this issue.
Because that was the solution that was represented to the DEP.
No, we have to put one in.
I believe it talks about ongoing monitoring of problems.
Yes, but this solution,
Blessing saying this was going to resolve the problem, this was the representation of the industry, how we're going to resolve it. And they basically said, this is an issue, this has to be monitored.
I have minutes.
I'm just saying.
I hear you.
Because we were unprepared too, because didn't know we were
That's why I
coming.
want to make the check.
I want to say that Weston and Simpson said that this problem at that original meeting with Mr. Demko, Mr. Monahan, and Mr. Zwerg, said it should be fixed. It should be fixed. And that's why it moved forward to the selectmen. I don't know why that engineer company is coming up with other alternatives. I really don't remember that. You know, no. I'll have to.
I'll make sure you get the other letter that they described to the DEP.
Oh, I have.
Second, motion, I think,
yeah,
you look
please,
into
in case I-
Oh, we can look.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll just look into it.
Yeah.
Let's just look into it.
We're going to look into whether, the money is available as the second alternative, the first alternative, to correct the situation and put in the proper main on North Street.
To relay it with we've got enough pitch, it'll flow.
Yeah.
Once we take the sag up.
Yeah.
I make that as a,
No, let's talk to Ted tomorrow, all right?
yeah,
You want to go and see him, or I can go and see
we'll
him?
both go see him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have some information on that, the 150,000. I think the town administrator said it's not a sewer-related issue, it's something about water.
No, it's sewer. It goes back to
It said it
2005.
was sewer.
Yeah. Cashman, we have a letter that the former commissioner, chairman, sent to Cashman and asked them to be reimbursed. And they said, okay, we'll give you 150,000, you fix it or you clean it periodically. I have a copy of that letter.
He's saying the opposite, that's all.
No.
You know, it's a water problem or something.
Yeah, he's saying the money really wasn't there for the sewer, or something.
It was there. I have minutes, I have the letter on the, copy of the letter.
Oh, good.
All right, we'll look into that, okay?
We're going to look into it with the town
Okay,
administrator.
thank you.
Thank you, everybody, very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, what do we
Okay,
got?
Walton's Cove.
Walton Cove Stormwater Mitigation Project. Abby?
All right. Well, thank you for having me. For folks who don't know me or if people are watching, my name's Abby Pearsall. I'm the Conservation Officer for the town of Hingham. And I just wanted to go over a project that we've been working on. Actually, it predates my tenure here and has sort of continued on. I've picked up the ball and tried to keep it moving. But what we're looking at here is a ecological restoration project for Walton Cove, which is up on Downer Avenue, just past the intersection of Downer and Daly, where the commission has its sewer pump stations. The sewer pump station is here, and here's the cove here as you're going up the road. This project the project is sort of being funded in a series of grants, and the goal here is to restore the ecological health of this particular embayment. There's kind of two things that are happening in this area. One is all of the impervious area and the runoff and the stormwater sort of contaminants, whether it's sort of metals or oils, that kind of stuff, or primarily sediments, are making its way through the stormwater system and into the cove. That, coupled with this sort of blockage here at the head of the embayment that's left over from the Melville Gardens theme park is, or recreation area is sort of blocking and keeping all of this stuff in here. What we've tried to do is come up with sort of a two-phase approach to address the issue and restore the health of this area. So what we're looking at right now is the first phase, which is to manage the source material that's getting into this particular embankment. The basics of this are a series of stormwater improvement projects that the town has started designing with the help of the Horsley Witten Group and funded through a coastal pollution remediation grant that we were awarded originally in 2013 from the Department of Coastal Zone Management. And then we got sort of our phase 2 that we were just awarded this last fall. So we've been sort of plucking away at this in small chunks. During the last phase, we came before the commission to talk about some of the potential improvements, and one of those improvements to capture and treat some of the stormwater would take place at the sewer pump facility. So what you're looking at on this map, in these red areas, these are sort of the mapped treatment areas that we did during our phase 1. Our consultants went out, took a look at where all the water was draining to, and then came up with sort of these treatment areas that we could take a look at. The green next to the red are potential places where we could do some stormwater improvement projects and install some green infrastructure to actually treat this water before it runs through the drainage system and into the cove. So during the first phase, one of those particular, the priority treatment area was the sewer pump station. And during that, we actually came to the commission, talked about doing some soil test pits, got permission to do those pits to make sure that it would actually function there, and then advanced 30% designs for 2 bioretention areas. One coming down off of Daly Road to capture this area here, and then a smaller piece that would be sort of a secondary treatment before the water continued on into the drainage system toward the cove. What we have the money for now, we got about a $10,000 grant to come back in and get us to 100% design for this particular facility, as well as some of the improvements along Downer Avenue. What we're trying to do is get to 100% design for this stretch so that the town has the option to look at installation when the road is up for construction. I think it's 2016. Is that so? So I want to be prepared so that we don't run into any moratoriums on doing work later down the road. So basically, there's not a lot to show you tonight. I just wanted to give you the prep that we're going to be coming back with about 75% design. Our engineer is actually working on this now, and we'll be coming back with some more information for you. But I wanted to make sure that if there's any questions you have or specific concerns or anything else, that maybe we can talk about it so I can make sure the engineer knows before we get that far down the road. So.
So this will be, so you're going to capture, collect, and it'll be some form of biofiltration or I don't want to say bioremediation. But,
yep, it's basically bioretention. So what you're looking at is 2 excavated areas, and the shape of these areas may change. So right now they're sort of shown, and I'll show you the 30% design. For folks at home, these are available on the Conservation Commission's website. But what you're looking at is a larger piece here and the smaller one here. Now these were designed to avoid the existing infrastructure and subsurface utilities that are on site, so they've already located some of that stuff and did their test pits around it. The shape and sort of configuration of these may change. One of the things you'll see in here is that there are 2 trees at the sewer pump station. These would remove those trees. And we talked about that during the first piece, but I know some folks are new to the project. So part of the landscaping, when we actually would get into construction, which is not this phase, we would need to look at what we do for screening and how in those filtration areas, we would actually restore some of the plantings and put something in that was sizable enough to make sure neighbors don't have concerns about what they see and what the end effect is.
I think we gave you the go-ahead on that last meeting.
Yep, you did. And so I just wanted to make sure that it's continuing on. And the goal is to, again, advance it to 100% so that in the next phase we can look for money to actually construct.
Abby, there's going to be riprap in there? Is that folders?
So
to hold it?
No. So typically the subsurface, you'll have some kind of filtration media. So it'll be a mix of various sizes, whether it's some gravels, some sands, filtration fabric, that kind of stuff. And then you'll have a planting layer. So what folks should be looking at when they're looking at this infiltration area is actually a planted landscaped area, not something that is kind of like a big open pit.
Is it something that's going to have to be cleaned periodically?
It will be. So it would need to be added to sort of the maintenance schedule of things. And so that's something that I've talked to Randy about, and he's been gracious enough to say that he would try to figure out how to work it in. when we know more about what's to be constructed. So a lot of this also has to do with things like the plant materials that are chosen and what sort of either you can put in like concrete pans and stuff that might catch some of the garbage that might be coming down the road before it gets into that system. So a lot of this final design is to say, how can we make this as easily maintainable as possible so it's the cheapest to maintain that we can make it, and make it simple. So.
Okay.
I mean, the other part of the project, are we going to have a maintenance program to go along with that?
This is anything that we do, any green infrastructure that gets installed, whether it's here or anywhere in town, there is a maintenance requirement. So there's sort of, cleaning that has to happen, especially, in the spring, once folks can get back in and make sure all the sediments get taken out, and that we're looking at that. And then the other piece, I mean, these types of systems can go anywhere from just grass bottoms, which are fairly simple to maintain, to elaborate plantings that you can sort of see at various different examples of these types of projects. And so it really comes down to what the town wants, and that's what this 100% design piece is going to hopefully get us to, is what do we want to see, what can we maintain at the end, and what gets us the best results in terms of protecting this area.
So Abby, are you managing the design?
Yeah, so I'm the project manager on behalf of the town. Our consultant is the Horsley Witten Group. They've got a lot of experience with this particular type of project, so we're pretty lucky.
How will you gain any input into deciding what the final planting will be in this?
So the other part of this project that's not directly related to the engineering piece is also a neighborhood outreach portion. So we'll be looking at kind of an education opportunity for folks in the neighborhood. Another one of the things that we're doing is a rain garden workshop on people's property. And so one of the things that we're hoping to do is during that and during some of our outreach, get some input from the neighbors, especially the direct abutters, going to them and saying, hey, listen, these are the options. What do you think? So from a public piece, we'll do that. And then the really biggest piece of this is what's maintainable and what makes sense for the town to be able to manage over time. So it'll sort of be a balance of those two things. And I'm sure we'll have more meetings at the commission to talk about that. So.
When you get to the design work, if you haven't already gotten to the station down there, you give us a heads up.
Yep.
So that we can have a preliminary look at that. Because there are other utilities going into the building and stuff, so it may, where you want to put it may not be appropriate. You may have to go to Plan B there.
Yep, exactly. And so what you see, so the 30%, that particular piece takes into account those subsurface pieces. They've located those. Okay. The idea is to come back here at 75% and get your opinion before we get to 100%. So we want to make sure that everybody's had a chance to look at it, and if there's any tweaks we need to make, we do that. So for the next meeting, what we're hoping, I'm not sure when your April meeting is going to be, but we're hoping that our consultant time's up to be able to come and actually present the technical aspects of it to you. So if you have any questions, we can answer them there. We'll also be working with Randy, with Steve, to make sure that this works for you. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have any long-term capital plans for that pump station? Anything coming up that we should be mindful of as we coordinate? As we look at their design. Yeah, maintenance or.
We've already done
Infrastructure?
Done a lot of work there.
Infrastructure?
Yeah.
nothing that would interfere with that.
Okay,
okay,
great.
all right.
Yeah, that's what I just want to make sure that.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That report, are you going to get us a copy of that?
Yep, what I'll do is I'll make sure that, we'll get it to Liz and we'll get it out to you.
Yeah, and they would like to have one over there also.
Yep.
Or two.
Absolutely. We'll make that happen.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Hingham Municipal Light Plant Sewer Connection. Jeff Tachi and
Jeff Tachi here for the Municipal Light Plant. Paul Henu, the general manager, is with me. Also, Michael Holland from SMMA is here. This has to do with the new operations center that we just recently permitted down off of Bear Cove Park Drive. It's basically next to the DPW barn.
Yeah.
And what's really good about it is, and this is the interesting piece, is that there's an existing paved way as part of the old park that we're actually going to utilize as the access for the new operations center. The other piece of the equation is that the utilities are all going to be pulled back through there, and it's going to be widened somewhat, all resurfaced. And in doing that, getting the special permits, the site plan review, we're actually able to have some drainage improvements, and also we changed the configuration of the back, the exit of Adams Court. So A lot of things went on, a lot of good improvements. As part of putting all of that together, we consulted with Roger Fernandez, also Randy Sylvester, with Steve. There's a memorandum of understanding which grants rights, access, et cetera, between HMLP and also the town. So all of that's in place currently. Everything's recorded, and we're in here for sewer connection approval from you folks. And if I can, I'll just hand it over to Michael Holland so he can go through and answer any technical questions. I know that you folks have the plans, and I hope that you get the larger format. But if I can, I'll just ask Michael to run through and answer any of your questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I had a chance to look at these a little bit last night.
Yeah.
It seems pretty straightforward.
It's a straightforward.
3-inch force main, we know where all the tie-ins are.
Yeah.
Sorry. We know where all the tie-ins are. We actually spent a lot of time out there, both Michael's office, us, Paul, DPW, town engineer. So we feel that from their building the barn just recently, they had a really good fix on where everything is. The design was specifically directed in this manner because we specifically found all the manholes, the connections, and straightforward is good summary.
Who's doing the design?
Can I make just one comment? You don't have to get up, Jeff. When you've finished putting the line in, it's all been tested and completed, everything. Would you make sure that an as-built plan gets to Steven or Randy? That's very important to us, okay, as part of the record in the file for that service line. So that as-built, all right?
Yeah.
That's my only comment. Everything else looks good. I went through it all last night myself.
And one other quick comment along
Yeah.
the same line is, any form of pressure testing of the line, acceptance testing, that we'd be afforded the opportunity, I guess, to witness any of that testing, to make sure that everyone's comfortable with the integrity of the installation.
There's a connection application, too. A sewer connection application.
Separate.
Did you already make the application?
No, not till the contractors.
Right.
Paperwork, there's an account application and a connection application. When you get your drain layer, just make sure he touches base with me, and we'll go over everything that we need to do.
We'll give an as-built to Steve on the...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We can get everything.
And there is a connection fee, too.
Did you say connection fee?
Fee, yes.
There's a question on that, on the betterments. I have it in this article in here on the betterment, special assessments, collection procedures. It said exemptions. Properties owned by government entities for public purpose are exempt from betterments.
It's a betterment, though.
This is a connection fee,
Connection fee.
Okay.
which goes into the I&I account.
Okay. Thought you were talking about betterments.
No.
Okay.
Connection fee.
I'll make a motion to grant them the connection.
Second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
See you, Jeff.
So the rules and regulations up there. Who's going to bring that up?
I guess we're waiting for Weston and Sampson we need to set a date with them to discuss the rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations?
Yeah.
Yeah, that brings up another subject. Steve couldn't be here tonight because he had 3 other meetings. And normally the sewer commission has met on the first Tuesday, right?
Yes.
First Tuesday of the month.
Right.
And it's been erratic as of late.
Yeah, because of
So he can't
every
set a
time we
schedule.
go for a meeting, we get snowed out, Randy, and I hate to
Right.
use that as an excuse, but that's what's happened. But as we discussed earlier, I'd like to go back to Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, if that's all right with
The
you guys. Is
the
that a
first
good-
Tuesday of the month.
First Tuesday of the
Okay.
month, 7 o'clock. Okay.
Can we put that on the agenda for the next meeting?
I
Okay.
can do
Yeah.
that.
So that'll be,
He did give me a brief outline and schedule
Yeah.
according to, for the regulations.
Okay.
He's incorporating comments right now. He should have that to me at the end of the month.
Okay.
Then I will share it with you individually.
Okay.
and get any feedback that we might have to make. Then we'll go to town council.
Get it up on the website.
Give it to the other boards.
Yeah.
Get any feedback from them. Then would schedule, post, and advertise a public meeting with the sewer to adopt it.
Yeah.
And make available copies to the town hall building and in the town website,
Okay.
30 days in advance of the public meeting of it, whenever it is. So that's kind of just a general outline. He has dates down here, but would, those have to be filled in basically. But that's basically what will happen.
Good.
So our next meeting will be the 7th of April?
Tuesday?
Yeah.
2nd of April, no.
Comes up fast because that
First
would
is
be
a Wednesday.
to this one, but
No.
No, it's the next
No,
week.
next one.
It would be,
We got 2 weeks to go.
7th, right?
yeah, it would be Tuesday the 7th.
I think that pretty much concludes.
I think, any of you folks have any?
Tom, do you have any comments?
I'm just curious to wait to see what.
I'm talking to Tom Piles.
Huh?
I was talking to Tom Piles.
Tom,
Doctor.
Well, if you have something to say, go ahead.
I'm a little self-absorbed tonight, so.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right. So if there's no other issues,
Make a motion to adjourn.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good.